music, news, and your views, What would life really be without an X?
Talking about the fact that Ghana do not need a national cathedral. So I want to go into the story and read a bit of that for my listeners. It says members of the African Mission in Ghana have expressed their misgivings towards the construction of a national cathedral by the Nana Addo-led government with support from the Christian community in the country. The cathedral, which is part of the main projects outlined in accordance with the celebration of Ghana's Diamond Jubilee, is expected to serve as a national place of worship and a place to hold important religious ceremonies. But since the cutting of sword for the project and unveiling of the design, many have questioned its relevance and possible contribution to the economic development and growth of the country. The accession, led by the President Akufo-Addo, retreating earlier comments that the government was not responsible for the funding of the project. But addressing a press conference today, head of the African Mission in Ghana, His Holiness Osofo Komfo Achu Kove, described the initiative as alien to the African culture. According to him, it was important for leaders in the country to get their priorities straight. So major concerns in the field of education and health can be addressed than wasting resources on a cathedral. He further alleged that the project will sideline the main religion of the country, which is traditional worship. Okay, so let's see if we can get a video, a voice from the leader of the African Mission. And mind you, the leader happens to be a former Roman Catholic priest who later on resigned as a Roman father and became the African Mission leader in the country.
About last year, we heard our president talking about cutting sword for the building of a national cathedral. We thought it's just a joke, one of those things, so we didn't take it serious. Till recently, we hear in March on the Independence Day that yes, they are ready with the plan to go ahead and build the national cathedral. National cathedral, don't we all know that Christianity is one of the weapons white people used to fight our ancestors and conquered them until now? So, if we must go back to pick the very weapon that they use against us, will it benefit us? And another point is that, is national cathedral the biggest problem for Ghana? We know how there are some schools without a school building. The children go to school under trees. They sit on blocks. There is no bench for them to sit upon. So should we use that money for building a national cathedral? Now, after building national cathedral, will the government build a national shrine for the traditional believers also? If we are moving like this, when shall we solve our problems? Our youth have no work to do, and now we are going to use money to buy national cathedral. So every Sunday, people through there to make noise that we are worshiping God. You know what is going on in Ghana here today? Noise from every corner. In the market, on the pavement, you see speakers, these evangelists making noise everywhere. But still, where we are, that's the place where we are. So we are here today to raise our objection against the building of that national cathedral. We are asking all meaning Ghanaians and Africans, those who love humanity, to come to condemn this the national cathedral business, so that we think about better things.
Okay, so this is their concern. I spoke to their national youth leader, and he's going to be in the studios tomorrow for us to talk into details why they think We don't need this. Another story that I think Ghanaians need to talk about. We spoke about the beginning of this development some months ago. Lawyer Fomwani, you all know this lawyer who is outspoken. Lawyer Fomwani has said that the presidency is becoming a breeding place for homosexuals. The Flagstaff House. This is what Lawyer Fomwani is saying, that the Flagstaff House has become a place where they are training homosexuals to take over the country. And he made mention of the US ambassador to Ghana, saying that Ghana will soon embrace homosexuality in the next decade, which is in the next 10 years. Are we seeing something that is the byproduct of Nana Akufo-Addo's statement, our president's statement when he was interviewed by Al Jazeera? And some of us said that what he has said, if care is not taken, if Ghanaians don't take things serious, what is going to happen is that the international community and the gay community around the world, knowing how powerful they are going to hold him to his words and who he is. And who is our president? Our president is an activist. He's an activist. And this push for homosexuality across the world is done through activism. So for me, my fear is that they are going to play on his conscience as an activist. That you said this, how can you help us achieve this as an activist? This is a human rights issue, and our president, we know him to be a human rights activist. So some of us, this is what we said when this statement came out, that though he might meant something else, that when he was a child in London, if somebody told you homosexuality will be legalized in London, you will be laughed at. But now it has become the order of the day, and therefore he thinks the same thing can happen in Ghana. Put that aside. If the homosexual community, the gay community want our president to legalize this, they are only going to play on his conscience, because every man has a conscience, and we know our president to be a strong human rights activist, and this case is fought through human rights activism. So we need to really investigate what Lawyer Fomwani has said, that they are using the Flagstaff House to breed people who would then come out to, propagate this thing that is alien in our society. So yes, tomorrow that will be another thing that we'll look at and talk about seriously. How is the presidency used, the Flagstaff House used as a breeding grounds for homosexuals? That is according to Lawyer Fomwani. I'll see if I can get excerpt of the statement and read to my listeners out there. And if this is true, it is something that Ghanaians should be worried about.
Your views, and your views. What would life be without an X?